Duncan Mckenzie from Channel 10, the famous Duncan Mckenzie. And happy Father's Day to all of you, and happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you, thank you.
And that's actually why we brought you on. Sometimes I'm sort of going to Xbox.com, and your name pops up under an Xbox Dad, Gamers type thing. Tell me what you do over for Xbox.com.
Well, I actually write a column called Xbox Dad, where we just talk about gaming for kids and gaming for parents with their kids more so. What happened there was that essentially Brian Johnson and myself wrote a book, Xbox 360 for Dummies, which included a ton of stuff for parents in it. So we actually went to Trixie, the famous Trixie on Xbox.com, and we said, hey, we could write for you, and we wouldn't charge you any money, and we'd give you free stuff, and it would be awesome. And she said, okay.
You're not a smart businessman, though, are you?
No, we decided that we just really like to write. We like to write about things for parents. So Brian started out writing this column. He wrote a few of those, and then, I don't know, he moved to Florida. So I'm writing a column there now, and I've written 5 or 6 articles for them about basically how parents can use video gaming sort of with their kids. So something I've been seeing a lot these days is that video gaming seems to be an isolated activity. Kids play by themselves, adults play by themselves. Maybe you play with other people online, but for the most part, you're just kind of sitting on the couch by yourself. But with kids, if you're going to have them doing gaming or watching TV or sort of anything like that, it's a great opportunity to do something with them, to bring something that they love doing and you love doing and do it together.
Now, why don't you think more parents do this already? Is it because, gaming sort of has a very negative feel to it, just when you say the word in general?
There's that, but I think that it's negative because they see it as this activity that the kids are going to go off and just do, and they're going to become, sit in the dark room, they're not going to go outside. When I was a kid, we got an Intellivision, so this is a little way back there. Yeah, we had Pong too, but we got an Intellivision, and we only had the one TV in the house. So when we played games, everyone was sitting in the same room. So if I was going to play a game by myself, that would mean I'd play a game and have 3 people sitting there watching me play, which isn't very normal. So we tended to play games together. We'd take turns playing golf, or we'd play, various little chase games, car driving games. And same with TV, because it's all sort of the same, whether it's gaming or watching TV or movies. We would all kind of watch the same shows. And then I find out now when I talk to parents, a lot of them, it's like, well, I don't like any of those kid games. So the kid goes down in the basement and they play for like 2 or 3 hours, and then they come up and I have to tell them to stop playing and things like that. And I don't want to do that with my son, and I'm trying to get people not to do that with theirs as well. So instead, we try to play games together. Like things like Lego Star Wars 2, which I'll bring up over and over again. It's like my favorite kids game. We play it at the same time. And sometimes I have to go do something, I have to go get supper ready or whatever, but for the most part, we jump into these games together. So it's an activity to spend time together, not for him to go off on his own.
Do you think some parents get frustrated at the Pong was a very simple game back in the day? Games, they get a little bit more complicated. So do you think parents use that as an excuse to not have to sit down and play with their kids?
Well, probably, but what's nice with playing with kids is for the most part, you're better than them to start with. So at some point that changes, and it's already starting to change. My kid's only 6, and he's already starting to get better than me at some games. But to start with, at least, you're a real expert, and that's kind of nice. Because when you play against your friends online, sometimes, you suck. So the complexity is there, but I think that the real reason people avoid it is it gives them an excuse for their kid to go do something on their own while they can get some stuff done. And I mean, we all get that. You got a lot of things to do. You got a cleaning to do. You got cooking to do, all these things. Hey, if the kid's going to keep himself busy for 2 hours, great. Then I can get some stuff done. And sometimes you have to do that. I mean, my kid plays by himself from time to time, but he never plays a new game that I don't play with him. He never watches a new TV show that I don't watch with him.
So let's talk about some recommended titles that you have. It is Father's Day, so maybe a lot of moms can go pick up some video games for dads that they can play with their kids.
Well, one of the nice things about the 360 is the demos and the arcade games that you can just download. So that's not great for a gift, but still I start with the idea that you could pull down an arcade game, a demo or a trial, whatever they call it, and check these things out with your kids without having to spend anything. And then if you want, you're talking $10 or something to get a game like Mad Tracks, which is an Xbox Live arcade game where you race little remote control cars around on kitchen tables and things like that. But for actual games, some of the best ones out there right now are tied into movies. For whatever reason, the movie tie-ins tend to be better for kids. They have the characters they like, and then they also tend to keep to sort of more kid-friendly themes. So you take something like Shrek the Third. That movie just came out. A great game. It's a single-player game, which I don't like as much to play with Connor because we take turns. We don't play at the same time. But still, it's a lot of fun. It's got the cat. It's got the ogre. It's got all that kind of stuff. There was a game for the movie Meet the Robinsons. Also a lot of fun. Also single-player. So because of the single-player, multiplayer aspect, I keep coming back a lot to that Lego Star Wars game because it has what they call drop-in, drop-out co-op, which means he can start playing with me, and we're both running around doing stuff. And if I have to go do something, I also have a 2.5-year-old. So if I have to go, help her with something, or if I'm sort of, cooking at the same time, I can leave, and he doesn't have to wait. I don't have to pause the game and say I'll be back in 5 minutes, and then come back again, and then leave again. So we can stop and start, and he gets to keep playing.
And you do have a little girl as well. These are the same titles that, it really isn't boy gender, girl gender. Star Wars Legos, a little girl could play as well.
Sure, definitely. She's too young at the moment. Is the thing. She likes to watch it. She gets really excited and watches, and she pretty much watches the kids' games, all of them, the Shrek and things like that, and enjoys them. But she's too young to play. The ones that we have, at least, they're too complicated, and she's just not into them yet. But I'm sure she will be.
And just out of curiosity, do you follow the ESRB ratings, or do you play a game no matter what it is before you play with your kid?
So I play it no matter what, but definitely if I was going to the store, I'm not going to pick up something that says it's for teen or mature if it's to play with my kids. So I look at the Everybody 10 Plus is one of the ESRB ratings, and I actually consider that okay to at least try out with my son, and even though he's only about 6.5, because generally there's things like cartoon violence will get a rating of E10 plus when my son's perfectly okay with that. He loves cartoon violence. He would probably love all sorts of violence, but we try to keep him to the cartoon. But I don't just say if it has an ESRB of E, then I just let him play it. I try not to do that. I always look at it myself.
Okay, well, we got the summer months are coming up. You get one title right now to tell and recommend to dads across the country. What title would you say? And we get Star Wars Legos, but something beyond Star Wars Legos.
But it's a platinum hit, and it's only $20 right now. Something fun. I would probably pick up Shrek the Third right now. It has in it something called, they're mini games. So if you don't play a lot of video games, then these are basically just little in-game games that you can start without having to play through the whole story. And they have one where you're shooting cannonballs at pirate ships. So both the kid and the dad can play at the same time. You're blowing up pirate ships with cannonballs, and it's a lot of fun. It's really easy to get into.
Perfect. Where can we find more information, or dads can find more information on you and on what you're talking about?
Well, if you go to Xbox.com, they have a bunch of different stuff there. They have a community area where they have the Xbox Dad and Trixie and many other things. But then they also have a family settings area. So both those things are on Xbox.com, and there's a ton of information for families there.
And you have DuncanMckenzie.net, right?
DuncanMckenzie.net is my personal blog, and it's not always family friendly, but I try to keep it that way as best I can.
Rated T for teens and for mature. Happy Father's Day. Check out Shrek the Third or Star Wars.